Hello YouTube, are you ready to par-tay? Or are you ready to watch me take apart my Matco main gear here? I'm Jim, and today we're going to be pulling the wheel and bearings and stuff from this Matco wheel to get ready for my condition inspection. I want to take it apart, clean it, grease it, inspect it, put it all back together, and it'll be good for another year, so let's get started. Okay, so step one is getting these bolts out of the disc so that I can get I can get the wheel off, because the disc is bolted to the wheel and it goes through the disc brake there. Shouldn't be that hard to cut. There we go. Actually, step zero is putting a wastebasket nearby for all these bits of safety wire. This jack here is older than I am. It was my dad's. It still works. He bought it, actually couldn't afford a jack all of his own, so him and a buddy bought it together, and in the end he ended up owning it. Thought he was Jack Duval. Pull the cotter key. We'll get something to put those bearings onto. One thing I forgot to mention when I started, you can get the directions and parts, exploded parts lists and stuff right off the Matco website. I'd get those. It's always helpful to know how it goes together. They give you good instructions. The other thing is, this has been a pretty good wheel for me. I like the brakes. And the parts are pretty reasonable. I put new bearings and brake pads on this not too long ago, and prices are pretty reasonable, so I guess that makes me one happy camper. Nut and the bearing are frozen together here. Kind of chilly. But what do you expect for Michigan in January? And this should pull off. Yep. Give it a quick look here. It looks good. This is the seal. It's got two lips, and it creates a fair amount of drag. And when you reassemble it, you can't expect the wheel to just spin because of the drag from these seals. But those don't look bad. We'll clean them up. All stuck. Yeah, nice shiny surfaces. I don't see any etching or corrosion or chipping. So we'll spoosh them around in some mineral spirits and see what they look like. Okay, so I've cleaned everything up. If you look, yeah, these are pretty clean. There's no grit. They spin nicely. Feel good. This is okay. You can see there's a little shiny line here and here. In the past, I think these bearings have spun because of inadequate torque on the nut holding them on. Somebody probably tried to do the old tighten it up and then loosen it until the wheel spins freely, and that doesn't work with these Matcos with this double grease seal here. This is the brake disc. Looks pretty good. It's got a little bit of wear on it. Not bad. I can measure it and see if it's in spec or not. So I come up with about 245 for the thickness. The minimum for this particular disc is 0.2, so I still got a lot of wear to go. They do suggest measuring it several places, which I guess I'll do. Just 243, 242. So I got, there's 40 thousandths to go, and 40 thousandths would be pretty easy to feel when you rub your finger here, so we're good on that. I bring the camera around where the light's better here. You can see these notches in the brake pads. Those are the minimum wear indicators. These pads are a couple of years old, I think. Pretty easy to replace. You can unbolt everything. They come right out. You drill out the 3 heads here. This tool from Aircraft Tool Supply has the mandrel to push the remains of the rivets out. You just push those out, put the new pad in, set the new rivets in place, and they push into this hole. Set the anvil, use this other mandrel, squeeze the rivets. Simple. Easy peasy. And the cost of the linings is pretty good. So anyhow, next I've been warming up this grease a bit in front of my heater because it's cold out here. You can buy tools for greasing these seals. I don't have one. Did I mention I need an A&P? So the idea is we want to get the grease into this annulus around here and up into the space between this guide and the race inside, and kind of essentially just fill that up full of grease. So we just squeeze it. The pressure between the bearing and my hand forces the grease up into that gap. That's the theory. And in practice it works out pretty good. And once they're packed full of grease, then you're good to go. If I read the MSDS, I'd probably be wearing a glove, but I haven't read it, so the old saying, no brains, no headaches. Okay, that should be good. Good and greasy. And obviously, if you recall the size of the glob I started with versus the size I got now, obviously that grease is going somewhere, and that somewhere is just inside the bearing. Get a little bit in the hole. You can stick your finger through there. That should be good. Okay, when you put this back, if you notice, there's on this side there's a counter bore for the screws, and on this side there isn't, so it has to go this way with the counter bore inboard where you can put screws in them. It's finger tight for now. Yeah, let me show you the top. Okay, next I'm going to put the bolts in the disc. Okay, so there's the hole. One, two, three. Okay, safety wire time. Okay, so I put a bit of bend in the end so I can push it through here and have it come around and be easy to grab. Okay, do you want this little heater, Rachel? Okay, so the bolt going that way. So my SD card filled up while I was safety wiring, but you've seen that before, I assume. The other thing is torquing these, because these grease seals riding on the rims, if I leave this loose enough for the wheel to spin freely, I don't know if you can see it, but the grease seal is spinning too. And that wears the axle and doesn't do the grease seal any good, and you end up with, you know, stuff getting into that bearings. If I tighten it up, you can see it doesn't, the grease seal doesn't turn anymore, but the wheel is kind of draggy from the seal itself. And the other thing is, you know, if it's you're tightening against rubber, so it's got a funny feel to it compared to a normal setup in a car or something. I think that's pretty good. It's got a little drag on it from the seals, but I don't think I've got the bearings too tight. Cotter key in, put the cotter key in, you take the cotter key out, you put the cotter key in, and you shake it all about. And that's short enough it's not hitting the seal there, but bent enough it's not going anywhere. And I think we'll call that done for the wheel here.